Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'm going to be taking a look at the very best cards for GLC from the sets Black Bolt and White Flare. So, for the new updates, before we get going, I'll be ranking each type and the new trainers revealed in both of these sets. The ranking is of course a personal opinion, but the main point of the video is really just to showcase the best new cards for each type. So, in last place, I have to award it to Metal types. To be honest, I don't think either of these cards are that impressive. I don't think Metal types really got any playable cards in this set. Like, nothing too crazy. Like, yeah, there's some usable stuff, but like, nothing jaw-droppingly cool, like nothing that really stands out. I think there's just better Cabalions. I think there's better Klinklangs as well, but if you really want to, I think these are probably the best cards for Metal types in this set. So, yeah. Bit of a disappointment if you're a fan of metal types, but yeah, we can swiftly move on to dragon types, which are at least a bit more interesting. Again, I think there is a much better Dragon already in GLC, and the same could probably be said for Haxorus. But Haxorus is kind of interesting, like 2 colorless energy, do 160 if they're an evolution Pokemon, which I think is really solid. And then Axe Bomber for a fighting metal colorless. If your opponent's active is a basic, it is now knocked out. So that is just for a single energy plus a double dragon, which is quite nice. So maybe there's some useful applications there. At the end of the day, though, it's probably easier to just power something else up that's a bit easier to attack with, like a Salamence, for example. But, still kind of interesting at the very least. So, yeah, fun cards overall. I'm just not really that sold on dragon types across these sets. Next up, those we have colorless types, and we have a very funny, I think it's called Patrat, the stage 1 up there, which has the attack focus energy, which that basically just says during your next turn, this Pokemon's Hyper Fang attack's base damage is 240. So if you can get that card to actually survive a turn, you can do 240 for just one energy, which is really funny. But I just thought that was worth mentioning, really. Overall, I don't think there's too many like really crazy colorless types. Like Stoutland with Order Sleuth could be decent for control decks. And this Pidove, or should say Pidgeot, really. Not Pidgeot, what am I saying? Wrong Pigeon. It's Unfezient, that's the one. Has the attack add-on, which just lets you draw 4 cards, and then also has an attack that might give you an immunity on 50% chance on a coin flip, while also doing 120 damage, which isn't the worst attack in the world, to be honest. So I think in like maybe a pseudo colorless control deck, maybe that could be useful. So some fun options overall, but again, I don't think there's anything that groundbreaking for colorless types. Next up, those we have grass types, and I really just had to give it 9th place to grass types because I really like this Amoonguss. 30 damage, and if your opponent's active Pokemon is affected by a special condition, you do 150 instead, which is really nice because there is an Ancient Origins Ariados, which basically just poisons both active Pokemon. Well, it actually won't poison your active Pokemon if it's a grass Pokemon, which is great. So you can just do 150 plus 10 from the poison, so 160, which is great. So yeah, quite nice fun combos with Amoonguss and just other like, I guess, status condition builds. Also got this, I think that's a Lavani. I think that's what that Pokemon is called. But yeah, this Pokemon says heal 100 damage from each of your basic Pokemon. So if you're playing like a super tanky basic grass deck, which I don't really think there is in GLC currently, but if you were, then you could heal a bunch of damage from them if you really, really wanted to. Like, I don't think this card is that impressive, but something to bear in mind in case we get these super big basic grass Pokemon at some point. But yeah, overall, some fun options for grass types. Next up is we have lightning types. Now, Emolga is pretty impressive, like Call for Family, 70 HP, free retreat. That's actually quite nice. But Electric, of course, I think is going to be the standout. Like, this is just Dynamotor, so like, if you already have your Flaffy or like your old Electric, then I don't think this reveal is going to be too groundbreaking for you. But if you want like well, if you just want to get into Dynamotor, right, and you don't have the older cards, then this is a nice way of getting into it. So it's a nice way of like joining lightning types. But also Galvantula is kind of interesting, like Discharge can be useful. There is a Zeraora which has the exact same attack, although it needs 3 base energy to do it. But still, Discharge on Galvantula, not the worst thing in the world, and of course we do have that very powerful Joltik that accelerates lightning and grass from the deck. So yeah, some solid options overall for lightning types. I think maybe 9th and 8th place could be swapped around depending on how you feel about these reveals, but overall some very playable options, I think. Next up is we have Psychic types. Now, for once, Reniculus is not just complete trash. Like, Evo Lariat does 40 damage and then 40 more for each of your evolution Pokemon in play, which is pretty solid modifier to work with. And then Cellular Awakening, which allows you to search your deck. Basically, it's TM Evolution, but it's for all of your bench Pokemon. So, yeah, quite cool overall, I think, for Reniculus. Then we've got a Cofagrigus, which I don't think is that impressive, but again, if we ever get any like super tanky psychic Pokemon, then it could be good. And then this Gothitella is like surprisingly not complete garbage. Like this is again a Pokemon that doesn't really get that many playable cards at all, even in GLC. But to have another one that can actually do like 180 for 2 energy and also like really disrupt your opponent by forcing them to shuffle draw 3, I think is actually quite nice. So yeah, definitely happy to see Gothitella actually getting like a usable card for once. Of course, like it types will take 7th place in this video. Next up is we have Dark types. A lot of really fun options here. I think this Mandibuzz could be fun for control, but also this Scrafty is really interesting. It does 60 damage. Well, you flip a coin for each Dark Pokemon you have in play, and you do 60 damage for each heads. So like, if you only flip one head, then of course it's just awful. But like, if you have 6 Dark Pokemon in play total, right, and you flip at least 3 heads, so 50% chance, you are doing 180 for 2 Dark Energy, which I don't think is that bad really. So I do like Scrafty a lot. You know, you can use Glimwood Tangle to influence your like coin flips, which is nice. There's even a Sneasel with a very similar attack, except it's only doing 30 damage times because it's a basic. So yeah, some fun options. It's nice to see a usable Scrafty in GLC. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Also got the Zoroark, which I don't think will be replacing the other one that sees a lot of play anytime soon, but still a very powerful attacker. Like Mind Jack, still decent. Foul play can be good, so nice to see. Then we've also got this Scolipede, which I think is all right. Like you can poison something and then do 180 to it if it is poisoned. Like that's not terrible or anything, but it can be a lot of work if you're a stage 2 Pokemon at the end of the day. But to be honest, I think I'm most excited about Scrafty. Like Scrafty just seems like a lot of fun, especially the standard as well, actually, just like in general. So yeah, Scrafty's really cool. Next up, those we have fighting types. Now we do have this Archeops, which is kind of interesting. Like Primal Wings allows you to just de-evolve one of your opponent's Pokemon while it's in the active spot, which can be cool. Just might get you a KO if you use Rock Throw afterwards, so that's nice to see. As for the other Pokemon here, like Gigalith and Trachian are kind of interesting. Like Trachian can do 130, which I think is actually pretty solid. So like maybe Trachian becomes like a new staple in fighting type decks. But again, I think fighting types is still really lacking a good way of accelerating energy outside of things like Turbo Patch and Raihan and really awkward methods like that. And B, I think it's B, the supporter. But yeah, things like that. So yeah, Trachian might still be a bit too awkward for GLC, but it's definitely something worth bearing in mind. And Gigalith, a bit more on the memeish side, but 20 damage for each damage counter on your benched fighting type Pokemon. So if you're willing to use like, I think there's a Pupitar that damages all your Pokemon. There's like a Trapinch that does the same thing as well. I think there might also be a Tracheon that, funny enough, damages your own Pokemon. So like, there's plenty of fun synergy with Gigalith here. So that's nice to see. Nice to see a playable Gigalith, full stop, really. So fighting types take 5th place. Next up is we have fire types. Now, I don't think any of these are like crazy standouts, but it is really nice to see a reprint of Embor. So Inferno Fandango, just, it's Bat's Caliber basically, but for fire types. So really nice to see that. So like, it's just much easier to get into those sorts of GLC decks because I think one of the more underrated, annoying things about GLC really is like, the point of entry can be a bit frustrating for new players if they have to like go online and track down like these really old cards and stuff that no one has IRL, or maybe they don't have them IRL. So it's a bit nice to have another way of getting those cards essentially. So I like the fact that Embor got a reprint. Also got this Victini that does V-Force for 120. So if you just have a full bench, you can smack for 120. Not the worst thing in the world. Chandelure, I don't think is that impressive, but if you really want to do a surprise 180 out of nowhere, then sure, I guess. Or 150, I should say. Oh, gosh. I forgot how bad the damage was on this guy. But yeah, it's not like great or anything, but I did want to bring up Chandelure because I do like Chandelure a lot. Also got Volcarona, which can leave your opponent's active Pokemon burned, so definitely a burn GLC deck now for sure. I think there is already one that kind of exists in GLC, but this one definitely pushes that deck forward a lot more, I think. So it's a nice step in the right direction. Is it enough to make Burn like one of the great ways to play fire types in GLC? Probably not, but it's still nice to see at the very least. So yeah, quite excited for Volcarona. Next up though is we have water types. And I think one of the big standouts here is going to be the Tortuga because it's quite literally just Trashalanche, but for water types. And it also does 30 damage for each item card in your opponent's discard pile. So quite a scary modifier in GLC. And of course, you do have the supporters like Arvin and Irida as well. So like Irida is just already a great card in the decks, but it can find an item and a water type Pokemon. So you can just get Tortuga set up nice and easy, which is cool. Also got this new Almola, the fin fish thing, with the ability Gentle Fins that says once your turn, if this Pokemon's the active spot, you may put a basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less from a discard pile onto your bench. So nice bit of recovery. It has One Retreat as well, so you can turn to a pivot quite easily. Worth considering if you want some Pokemon recovery. Also got Samurott in here, which I don't think, again, is that impressive, but if you really, really want to play Samurott, this is certainly one of the better ones to play, so, definitely worth considering. Also got this Caracosta, which, again, I don't think is anything too crazy, but it can wall out special energy focus decks, like the Colorless decks, for example, and Big Bite can do 150, so, and Retreat Lock, so, maybe there's something there for Caracosta, but I think Tortuga especially will see play, so, yeah, very cool to see Water types getting more buffs. As for new items and tools, I don't think Energy Coin is very good. You need 2 heads from a coin flip, which is pretty brutal. But yeah, it can accelerate energy, I guess, at the end of the day. But you still need 2 heads. Like it's rough out here for energy acceleration. Air Balloon is a really nice reprint, though. It's nice. Again, going back to that point, if it's difficult to get like older cards like Floatstone, it's nice to see that Air Balloon is getting a reprint. It's not Floatstone, but it's still like decent retreat options for sure. And then Tool Scrapper is also another nice reprint. Just choose up to 2 Pokemon Tool cards, attach to Pokemon, and discard them. So, I still think Field Blower is, of course, miles better, but still, if you don't have a Field Blower, you can get a Tool Scrapper for very cheap. Then, it's better than nothing, really. So, I do like Tool Scrapper a lot. Next up, those we have some new supporters: Ends, Plot, Fennel, and Clown. I honestly couldn't care less about, but Fennel, yeah, sure. If we ever get a good healing deck in GLC, but is there a good healing deck in GLC? I don't think so. There might be a grass one, or maybe a water type one with Lana and stuff that could loop heal effects, but overall, I don't think these supporters are really that impressive. Hilda, I do think is kind of cool though. Search your deck for an evolution Pokemon and energy card, reveal them, put them into your hand. Just a very, very solid card overall. A Prism Energy reprint is honestly really cool to see as well, and then Ignition Energy, which is a really nice one. Again, it's a one-time use, and it is a special energy, so you have to only run 1 copy in your deck, but yeah, very powerful if you can get it off. But yeah, thank you for watching. Some overall thoughts, though. I think it's a pretty good set for GLC, to be honest. Some fun options and trainers across the board. No one type feels favored the set, to be honest. However, some limitations with it being a duo of a special set, so there's no stadiums or anything like that, which is a bit annoying. And yeah, overall cards are definitely a bit more on the collector's side of things. They're not super playable, but yeah, overall, some fun options, though, at the very least. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. This has been Ember Power, and yeah, thank you for watching.